Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be learning how to draft and sew this classy cut together blouse. Please watch to the end of the video. I started with drafting out the basic body blocks. Now from the starting point, the first line will serve as my shoulder line. This will serve as my shoulder line. Then from that point to 10 inches, this will serve as my bust point line. Then 16 inches for my waistline, then 21 inches for my full length, and 23 inches and 21 inches will be for my full length. I'll come back to that later. Now to begin, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement, shoulder divided by 2. I'll make a mark. Then from that point, I'm going to take my sleeve measurements. I'll be working with 9 inches. I'll make a mark at 9 inches from that shoulder line. Then from that point, I'm going to come down by 2 inches for the shoulder slope. I'll make a mark at 2 inches. Now I'm going to connect this to the shoulder line, just like this. Once I was done with that, the next thing I'll be doing will be taking my bust measurement. I bust divided by 4. I'll make a mark. Then add extra 2 inches for the sewing allowance. You can make use of 1.5 inch for this. So now I'll be taking my waist measurement, waist divided by 4. I'll make a mark, then add my 2 inches sewing allowance. Then on this line, I'm going to add my hip measurements, hip divided by 4. I'll make a mark, then I'll also add my 2 inch sewing allowance. You can make yours 1.5 inch or 1 inch sewing allowance. Now after that, I'm going to connect this point. Once I was done connecting this point, the next thing I'll be doing will be taking my round sleeve measurement. My round sleeve measurement is 18 inches. 18 divided by 2 gave me 9 inches. So I'm going to make a mark at 9 inches. Now I'm going to connect it straight. Once I was done connecting it, at this point, I'm going to come in by 1 inch, just like this. Then I'll connect it back to this line. This will help your sleeve sit well. Now after connecting it, you notice that the round sleeve line is a bit longer than my bust point line. Now I'm just going to curve it now to meet this line, just like this. And that's it. The next thing I'll be doing is to take the neck measurement. I'll be making use of 3 inches, the neck width, then the neck depth 1.5 inches, and I'll just connect. Once I was done with that, at this down part, I'm just going to take my curve ruler and then make a curve to connect this, to connect it to the down part. And that's it for the back piece. I'll just cut this out now. And once I was done cutting it, I'll go over to the front piece. Now for the front piece, I'm also gonna head to mark out my basic body blocks. This is my starting line, which serves as my shoulder line. This is my bust point line. This is my waistline, and this is the full length. The full length of this blouse is 21 inches, but I added extra 6 inches, making it 27 inches. This is because the front part is longer than the back part. I also went ahead to mark out a button allowance of 0.7 inches. Now all my measurement will be starting from this button allowance line. Now I'm going to take my shoulder measurement, shoulder divided by 2. That's 14 inches divided by 2. Starting from this button allowance line gave me 7 inches. I made a mark at 7 inches. Then from that point, I'm going to take my sleeve measurement, 9 inches. Now I'm going to make a mark at 9 inches. Then from that point, I'm going to come down by 2 inches for the shoulder slope. I'll make a mark at the shoulder slope, and I'm going to connect it to the shoulder line. Once I was done with that, the next will be to take the bust measurement, bust divided by 4. Starting from the button allowance line, I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to add my extra 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then take my waist measurement divided by 4, make a mark, add extra 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then at this full length, I'm going to add my hip measurement divided by 4, add my 2 inches sewing allowance, and I'm going to connect them. Now once I was done connecting this, I'm going to take my round sleeve measurement. My round sleeve 18 inches divided by 2, which gave me 9 inches. I'm going to place it this way. I'll make a mark at 9 inches. Then I'm going to rule a line to connect it back to the shoulder slope, just like this. Once I was done connecting it, from this point I'm going to come in by 1 inch as well. Now I'm going to connect it. Once I was done connecting this, now I'm going to make a curve to join this line. And that's it. The next thing will be to take the neck measurement. I'll be working with 3 inches for the width. Then for the depth, I'll be working with 8 inches. I'll make a mark at 8 inches. I will extend this 8 inches to the button allowance extension. Then I'm going to connect it. I won't be connecting it to this main line. I'm just going to connect it straight to the button allowance extension, just like this. Now at this bottom part, starting from the button allowance line, I'm going to go in by 2 inches. At this bottom part, I'll go in by 2 inches. Then from this waistline, I'm going to connect this to this point, and I'll be starting from this button allowance extension as well. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to connect it this way. Now this is where I'll be placing the button. I'll just make a mark to show how the button will be placed. Once I was done with that, I'm going to connect this extension back to the full length like this. I'm just going to take my curve rule, I'll place it this way, and I'm going to connect this back to the full length of this blouse, just like this, because the front part is pointy, as you can see. And that's it. The next thing I'll do now is to cut this out. Do not forget to give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do so. This is the back piece. When cutting on my fabric, I'll be cutting my fabric on fold, and this is the crepe fabric I'll be using to do this. This is like a thick crepe I'll be using, that I'll use to cut this. I've gone ahead to do this, and also went ahead to leave allowance on every side necessary. I also went ahead to cut facing for this. As you can see, I don't want to use bias or turn this, so now I just cut the facing 2 pieces each, and when I was cutting, my fabric was on fold. Now this is the front piece and this is the back piece. I also went ahead to cut the facing for the neckline, and also the facing I'll be using to turn the bottom part of this back piece. I also went ahead to cut these 2 pieces I'll be using for the belt, because this blouse has a belt. I'll go ahead now to go and sew this close. And I'm also going to open up this back piece. I'll take the facing for the neck area, and I'm going to close this neck area. Then at this bottom part, I'll also use the facing, place it like this, and I'll use like 1/4 inch and just close it as well. I'll do the same thing for the front piece. Place it this way, then take the facing, place it like this as well. And I'm just going to close the neckline, and I'll close this area up. I'll repeat the same thing for this other side. Close this up using 1/4 inch. Once I was done closing it, this is what I have. This is the front piece. I've gone ahead to like turn this, and I hemmed this as well. I used the hemming gum to like hold it down. I did the same thing for the back piece. I also used hemming gum to hold it down as well. Now to close this up, now I'm going to bring the two front piece and I'll place them this way. Then get the belt, and I'm going to take one of the belts and I'll place it on the waist area just like this, and I'm just going to like run a stitch and hold this down. First of all, I'm going to just use my pin to hold it. I'll repeat the same thing for this other part. Get the belt, place it on the waist area and then pin it down. Afterwards, I'm going to get the back piece and I'm going to place it this way, right side facing right side. I'm just going to place it this way. Then I'm going to bring the shoulder area and I'll place it this way. Then take one part of the facing and then flip it backwards this way. I'll flip it this way and then I'm going to sew close the shoulder area. I'll repeat the same thing for this other side. Take the two shoulder, place them together, then take one piece of the facing, flip it to the other side just like this, and then I'm going to close it as well. I'll close the shoulder area. Once I was done closing it, this is what we have. And once you close this way, your shoulder area will be this neat. I also went ahead to fold in the round sleeve area. As you can see, I folded it in. I did the same thing for this other side. I folded the round sleeve area. The next thing I'll be doing now is to close this. I'm going to take this way and I'm going to take like 1 inch and then I'm just going to close this up. I'll repeat the same thing for this other side. Like 1 inch, use it and close it up as well. Once I was done, this is what I have. The next thing, I'm going to turn this to the right side. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe to the channel. And give this video a thumbs up. What is left now is just for me to make my buttonhole for this, and after making the buttonhole for this, I'll just add my button and that is it. This is the finished look without the belt tied. I'm going to tie this now to give it a snatched look. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, share this video. See you all in the next one. Bye.